who has to output the damage, has to outperform dress code in a lot of these fights that Aphelios here. And we've seen Zeri's pop off. Yuhi has been doing a lot better this split. So let's see if Yuhi can once again step up and beat expectations.
And I agree, right? Like, I think Oriana is actually good, right? I'm not actually against Oriana, but he offered things like the Syndra. I feel like the Syndra would have been so much better here because you get a little bit of extra CC, you get a little bit of pushback to keep people really far away from your backline, although, yes, Zeri is super mobile. But also, you had a bit of consistency. You also have a huge amount of burst that you could just use on Aphelios or the Victor. I think it would have been so much better, but we'll see if it is impactful. You know, obviously, we've seen quite a few Orianas, as you said. Pretty much everyone has played it. Maybe Dice is going to be the one to change my mind.
Yeah, I guess we're rolling the dice here, Jeriel, on how this comp is going to run. And to be fair, I mean, Dice has had his pop-off moments. He's been a solid mid laner. I remember when he first got picked up by Burton Core, we were looking at this guy as, you know, a big assassin player, especially as Akali. And here within the LJL, that hasn't largely been the case. Interesting power spike from Blitzkrieg there. And you know what? I'm probably going to agree. I think if it does scale up late, we already touched on how strong Victor is. I think V3 have a pretty decent shot at actually winning this year. They just need to make sure they don't fall too far behind in the early laning phase.
I'm not like I'm slyly really hoping V3 win because not because just V3, but I feel like it makes the league so much more interesting if V3 wins here because then it puts D19's game like a huge momentum changer. So I'm really hoping for the V3 win here, but we'll have to see how they play it out because you know what? Burning Core, what I want to see from them is them to be very clean and clinical. I feel like right now they're on a 5-loss streak. They haven't really shown us that much. And I feel like if they can actually put a really good performance on here, maybe you start to have a bit of faith for them come playoffs.
Excellent, Jeriel. Come to the dark side. Support Axis. As an Axis fan, I agree. I would love for V3 to find another win here. That would make things spicy. It also put Axis in a much better spot because you mentioned that, hey, Burning Core on a 5-game loss streak, but they've also had to face a lot of tough teams, including the top 3 teams recently. Axis have yet to face most of them, and they'll be coming up against it with Sengoku and DFM on day 20 and 21. So for sure, in order to keep things close, you know, Axis need Burning Core to kind of lose here, but I don't think Burning Core is a team that doesn't know how to play the early game. As much as we praise V3 here, I would argue Burning Core is much better, and we might see that as flawless roaming up top.
Washidai is trying to get away. He's going to be able to get a little bit of distance. Does flash. Flawless going to drag them back, though. There's the slow, and it's going to be a kill. Ray Farkey going to be able to get that assist, and it's Flawless that picks up the first blood, and that's a pretty nice start. I will say the 2 tanks are going to be pretty lethal. It's now in the bot side, though. Hook onto Yuhi. That's a bit of damage off from Dresco, but not too much to write home about. But a decent trade does put a bit of heat under his heels.
Yeah, and until I see the Gravitum here, Jerry, I'm not too worried about the bot side. I don't think it's going to be an issue for Yuhi to stay safe. It's interesting to note, Yuhi's actually running Flash Ghost here, so a lot of mobility. You've kind of got to mess up with a Yuumi on you pretty hard. Make that work. We are getting a replay of a mid lane gank we didn't see, which ended up forcing Dice to get an early back. It's just Unica kind of just walking in there. And it's efficient, but it doesn't match Flawless's gank in that top side where I love the fact that Flawless, you know, used the flash to match Washide, look to punish on this Gnar, and that makes the Gnar so much more vulnerable for these future reganks, especially once Ray Farkey hits 6.
Yeah, but do they want to really spend all their time in topside? Obviously, Sedge Poppy, yeah, you're going to become tanky, but you're not going to be able to dish out the damage that I think your team will need, especially if we do go to later stages when that Victor does become quite strong. Obviously, tanks trying to get onto the FLS as well could become a bit problematic.
In almost any other team, Jeriel, I would agree with you. After all, Sedge isn't known really for her damage. That's it. She has a surprising amount of burst damage built into her kit, but this is Burning Core. This is the Ray Farkey team, and it's the Ray Farkey show. And if any top laner was going to be able to carry on that Sejuani, it would be Ray Farkey. Not to mention, V3 Yu-Gi-Oh is really good, but Washidai has been a consistent source of threat for them now. Mid lane, 3-man dive.
Oh, Dice are going to be looked up, and it's a lot of damage going down. He's just not done yet, but he will finally fall. It is going to be Heto that takes the kill, though Ignite going to secure that one. I guess they would have liked it to go over to Yu-Gi-Oh, but you know what? A kill is a kill. It gives him some lane time, gives him some priority, and now we can catch up on that farm.
Yeah, they'd have wanted to go on anybody except for Hetzel. I mean, Unica would have been great on it, but like you said, a kill's a kill. You're equalizing things. And this is where I feel like Oriana has slightly gone out of style a little bit, Jeriel. We mentioned that, yeah, she's a great blind pick for the most part, but she is very vulnerable to the large amounts of CC right now that is in the game. If she stands up, she gets punished. Now, Flawless was looking the area. They spot Hetzel, and that kind of pulls the trigger, but this is Nautilus. This is why we see Nautilus being picked. It's not that he's super tanky. It's not that he does a lot of damage. He's just got a lot of CC, and that hook, man. That hitbox on it needs to be nerfed. The lollipopping on that is absolutely insane, and they can continue to do this on Dice. That flash is still down from that earlier Unica gank. It's going to be down for a while, and right now dress code isn't even being punished for these roams by Hessel.
Yeah, indeed, and obviously, like, it's a sentiment where I don't really know what the Yumi could do to punish. Like, yeah, you could get some poke off, maybe they can force Philios away, but if he gets red gun, he just heals it back up. It feels like a little bit of a difficult situation to punish, and that is what you give when you give the Yumi. You know, you are trading off that earlier stage in the bot lane.
Yeah. Oh, another hook lands.
Oh, another hook, and now Gravitum is actually available. Infernum also burning down onto the Zeri. Heals are going to keep them relatively healthy there, half HP, but it's not going to be the greatest lane. Still, Ghost having to be used already.
Yeah, the flash is still up, though, so there is still that escape ability from Yuhi here. And Jirio, you know what? We kind of touched on Fujimoto. Fujimoto's interesting. I didn't realize he was going to be playing today, and I wonder why they've suddenly subbed him back in. I've actually been a big fan of Loser's play so far this split. I thought it's been really good, but I'll put that on pause as they're hunting Yujiro here. I don't think they can find anything yet. Not quite the right angle for that. So going back to that bot side for Fujimoto, and to bring Fujimoto in and put him on Yumi immediately, I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like Yumi's not a champion where supports can really fully express their skill here. It's very reliant on your taxi, on your cab, whoever you're currently sitting on, whether it be your AD carry, your jungler, or your top laner here. You don't have as much agency. So why are we bringing Fujimoto back in?
Yeah, maybe Lucy refuses to play Yumi. I don't know. Like, it's like I don't really know either. I'm kind of like Lucy has played Yumi before, so it's a sentiment where I'm not really sure either. Maybe there's some plan that they have. Maybe Fujimoto is like a Yumi one trick these days or something. Like I don't know. But I agree with you, because it's like you've drafted someone who, okay, if he picks something like a Zerat, something like a ranged damage support, or something like a Pike, something that's like really unique and specific, okay, I get it, right? Like you're trying to play for a specific draft style, but yeah, I do agree. Picking the Yumi into it, not necessarily the greatest, but we'll see. Obviously, it come mid game, that's where they're really shine. You know, I do think the Yumi is going to be pretty annoying to have on top of things like the Poppy, the Sejuani, obviously on the Zeri always as well going to be problematic. But I do agree. It is kind of just like you're not really flexing your skill here. But I will say, someone that is flexing their skill in this game, I feel like Yujo is having a pretty good time in this lane. He's just keeping the farm. Mm-hmm. He's had some pressure. He's been able to stay alive throughout the pressure. And so far, so good for the V3 late game.
Yeah, and for V3, like we're kind of saying, they aren't pressured to make these early plays, right? Their skilling is really strong. There's a reason why Blitzcrank-kun was so highly in favor of V3 past that 35-minute mark here. So they can afford to sit back. And for Burning Core, the pressure was on them to make things happen early. Like you kind of pointed out, they threw an early Gantz top lane, but great. What is your Sedge going to do with that first blood or with that early pressure here? Washida has been fine, has been straight chilling in this top side. And Burning Core, they haven't really picked up the pace of the game. They didn't get Herald. It's worth noting V3 picked that up. They do get first Dragon, but it's coming at 9.5 minutes, J-Real. If Dragon stacking is your win con here, then you need to do it sooner.
Oh, going aggressive once again. Yuhi going to have to flash and just gets over the wall, and Zeri things are occurring.
Yeah, but that at least is another summoner blown right here. And Yuhi's not significantly up CS right now either. There's constant pressure working for V3. Do I think they can gank that lane again, J-Real, and find a kill? Probably not. The Ghost is about to come back up off of cooldown, and Yuhi and Fujimoto have done a really good job of making sure that most of the time they've got enough wards to spot ganks coming through, so they'll probably still be fine, barring like a 4-man dive.
You will have to see how this one plays. And back onto Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, I watched Arcane. It was a while ago. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily remember. Does Victor actually have a limp, or is he just on some like swaggy walk with the cane?
No, he's got an actual limp. Yeah.
Damn, League actually put that in his walk. I respect that. That's
Yeah.
a cool design from them.
Yeah, I mean, he looks more swag when he's but that's Victor from Arcane, right? That's before he gets all swag like he is now with all this cool upgrades. Now I think it's just a swag walk. I don't think he needs the cane with all these upgrades here.
He just does it for the bands. Now he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk in. I'm gonna walk into mid lane. I'm just gonna one shot you with my laser. Like that's pretty cool. I respect that they did that, because like I was playing Ziggs the other day, and like his walk is hilarious, right? He like proper waddles. So I do like that. You know what? That League pays some intricacies to their champions.
Oh man, I can't wait for Ziggs to actually enter Arcane as well. More explosives, hextech explosives.
True.
Oh,
There is a lot of expansion.
There
I
is.
don't know when season 2 is coming out, but there is definitely a lot of scope for who's coming back. Because obviously Warwick didn't make their debut. Obviously, well, maybe they did. I don't want to drop too many spoilers.
Oh, Unica.
We're talking about spoilers. Rayfaki and Washide are going to have a very long trade here. Unica is just waiting to see if Rayfaki would overstep, but he isn't going to just yet. Maybe he can look for the gank himself. Poppy is lurking around the top side of the jungle, though. And will be making their way up. So Unicorn does need to be a bit careful there. They're going to drop the Herald. Should be able to get 2 plates, but do need to back out pretty soon. Although probably might help them with that. Oh! It's the Herald that they knock away. Okay, and now Dice moving us. Well, it's going to be a 3 versus 3. Can they get it to crash?
I actually don't know if it resets the Herald charge if you actually knock it away. They will not be able to get it crashing. Hetzel down bot.
Final traps are going to be used, though. Yuhi able to get a bit of space. They're now going to drag them in. Dress code taking a lot of damage. But there's the damage coming out from Moonlight Vigil, and Fujimoto surely is gone. Might pick up dress code, but it will not be. It's going to be 1-2 kills down bot lane. And finally, Burning Core do suffer some pain.
Okay, so finally a bit of action there, Jiro, after a bit of a pause button. Let's start with the action in the top side there, because that was interesting. I think Unica waiting around for that gank was a good thought, but not into a Sejuani. Never mind. Replay's going to take us to the bot side here. So, okay, we'll start with bot. We'll go back top after. So, great ambush being set up into this bush here. We've seen a couple of attempts, but I want to highlight that Yuhi and Fujimoto opted into this fight. They burned the ghost, so they actually could have gotten away here, and they stopped the initial engage. Gravitum comes down, hook lands here, but it's because they turned around. If they just kept running with that final chapter, they'd actually probably have been fine in that situation there. And as it stands, another kill going over to Hetzel, not ideal, but yeah, take that. And more importantly, that's 1 kill for dress code. Gale Force picked up as well. That's kill threat into this lane until Yuhi completes his mythic.
It is indeed. And look, we talked about the late game for V3. We talk often about how V3 do not have a particularly good early game, but this game, they're making it work. Normally, on average, they're down about 2.5k gold at 15 minutes. Right now, if the gold stays the same, they're going to be up 2k.
Yeah, and that is not something that happens too frequently. I mean, we talk about V3's early game being bad-ish, but realistically, their first 10 minutes are usually actually great. Everything falls apart, around that post 10-minute mark, and we're almost at the 15-minute mark. And like you said, they're up gold. They're in a good position. And when we talk about the scaling of this specific composition, Jerio, for Burning Core, there is one lane which their scaling is better in, and that is the bot lane with this Zeri. But if you can put Yuhi down in the ground and the rest of your composition scales up for V3 here, they're setting up great, for that mid to late game. And for Burning Core, that timer is ticking. They too have a very strong mid game with that Sejuani, with that Orianna. So Burning Core need to start actually looking for these bigger fights, not just the skirmish this year, but full-on proper, 4v4, 5v5 fights where they can get dice to it, get those perfect shockwaves off.
And also the Dragon as well. We talked about Dragon stacking. We talked about how it could be influential in this game. It's not going to happen for a very long time because now V3 are going to be able to pick themselves up a Drake, and that puts a 15-minute timer on the first possible soul that we could see.
Yeah, and if it's not going to be a mountain soul, I don't think it's actually going to be that relevant either. Nope, it's going to be ocean. So yeah, I don't think it really even matters because in a lot of these fights, your ocean soul isn't going to have that much time to scale up. There's a lot of upfront bursts, and I'm expecting to see 1-2 members just popped right at the beginning of the fight for both of these teams. So yeah, I think Dragon stacking goes out the window here. Dragon at this point, Jerio, that's just the trigger for a lot of these fights to start. I expect 5 minutes we'll see both teams stack up for Dragon, and frankly, it doesn't matter if you go for a Dragon steal. I want to see the teams focus more on the kills, on the blood here.
And I feel like that's an interesting point actually that you bring up here, because I feel like a lot of people believe that Dragon is kind of the be all and end all, right? Like it seems like it's an objective where you really scrap over it, kind of regardless of whatever. But actually, is there a way to play where realistically you kind of just say, you know what, the Dragons are not that deep, and realistically we only take the fights that we want to take, and we play around the bigger objectives, things like the Baron?
Yeah, I think we saw that especially in spring quite a bit with Herald focus being the priority instead of Dragons, teams letting it go. Now, it's worth noting we are on patch 12.14, which means that Dragons did just get buffed this patch. So if anything, Jero, I think we go back to saying that, hey, Dragons actually are the end-all, be-all for the most part. I just think specifically for this game with the way the compositions run, Ocean... I mean, it's still really, really incredibly strong, especially for the Zeri
tanks,
here.
The Wukong, yeah, the Zeri.
Exactly. Yeah, like champions who are going to be able to kite away or survive the upfront burst. I just suspect that for a lot of these champions, the initial upfront burst is going to be more than enough to finish people off. So for Burning Core, it's a really strong, important dragon if you can get it stacking, but I don't think it's worth dying for. Flawless, potentially looking for the wrap around here. I don't think this is the right call against a Victor or Flasha.
That's giving me a Mulan flashback there. Drake worth fighting for, dying for. I don't remember what the song is for, but it's a great movie. Great movie. Go check that one out if you guys haven't. But anyway, back into this game. It looks like first brick gonna go down there for the side of V3. They take that tower. I think Sejuani also gonna be able to pick up the tower just slightly after. So V3 once again ahead on these objectives. We have gone past the 15-minute mark, but still a 2K lead over the V3.
Yeah, just barely able to beat that one out. And I want to highlight that the top side, V3 lost their turret, and they actually dropped Herald in that top lane. It just didn't crash at all. So that really shouldn't even have been the case. And Burning Core are still holding in on it. If they had put Rayfarki on a carry here, Jay, I feel a lot more comfortable about the way it's going, because then you've got the Rayfarki split push win condition. But sure, now Rayfarki got first turret, first brick, but you're a Sedge. And you're not going to be able to match a split push or be able to split push, pardon me, into an R here. So Burning Core, great, you know, that your top laner is doing well. He always does well. You need to start transitioning that to the other lanes here. And now Hetel's hovering, Unica's hovering, and they've actually brought up Yu-Gi-Oh! They might have enough burst damage to actually threaten Rayfarki the dive. No, they're backing off.
It's the thing. I've been theory crafting in my head throughout this game, and I feel like, yeah, we could have either had Rayfarki on a carry. You could have maybe picked something like the GP, because they picked the Sejuani really early, but they could have either put that in the jungle or, you know, just taken the Poppy really early. I feel like there wouldn't have been any detriment to that pickup. But my other theory is, with the Orianna, they could have almost said, you know what? Orianna, not the greatest damage, but pretty nice team fighting. If we're really going to play around Yuhi, or maybe want to even bolster how big the tanks are, why not play something that has shielding? Something like the Ivan. And yes, I know Orianna does have the shield, but it's like, obviously Ivan mid has kind of been popping up in some ERLs, but also something to kind of throw back to. Lulu mid could have been a potential surf as well. I feel like there are other people that do shielding better that could have actually become quite threatening in that mid to late game fights.
True, Jiro. And you know what? You had asked about where the magic damage is coming from Burning Core, and that's why they had to pick something like Orianna, because there is magic damage threat. But I agree. I don't like that they pigeonholed themselves into that particular situation where it's a suboptimal mid pick, and you're kind of trying to double dip into two sides where you're not doing either side perfectly here. I would actually have agreed. Like I would have liked to see, you know, a much higher focus on protecting Yuhi with this particular composition, because I still don't think this Orianna is going to do anything yet. And granted, you know, we haven't seen too much action, so maybe it's not a fair assessment. But I'm going to say this right here, J-Real. If DICE does not land a 4-man shockwave this game, I am not going to be impressed with this pick, and I think that it might actually cost them the game.
Yeah, and we've seen shockwaves not win you games. You know, we've seen it from CGA. They almost beat Sengoku, I believe it was, against, and they got big shockwaves, and it didn't work out. If you're not super far ahead on Orianna, it doesn't always make a difference.
Yeah, and especially as the game runs on, and we're 20 minutes, Jerio, without a full-on team fight right yet. So that has to be weighing on the back of Burning Core's mind that, hey, we picked scaling. We didn't pick scaling here. We've got that Orianna, which does fall off, and it ain't working. As for V3 here, they're fine with this, right? They're chilling, and they're the ones to pick up this second Drake right now. Like we said, it's not the most important dragon for V3's composition as a whole, but it's going to be annoying as all hell for Burning Core,
Hmm.
especially if that Orianna can't 100-0 somebody with that Zeri right away. Then suddenly everybody's healing back up. They get the re-engages here. It's only going to get things tougher and tougher for Burning Core. So, Burning Core, why aren't you looking to force these fights?
And it throws me back to an old phrase, right? Everyone's heard of jack of all trades, right? As a general saying, but the actual quote is jack of all trades is master of none, but oftentimes better
Yeah.
than a master of one. I don't know if that actually works out in League. You know, I don't know if that's actually true for League of Legends. I feel like being a master of one, which could be AP damage, would have just been a better look here. But we'll see. I do agree with you. I think the Burning Core need to start fighting because, well, Blitzcrank said it. We've kind of said it. The late game, not really looking too good for them, especially considering that Zeri isn't ahead at all in this game, and Aphelios is looking quite strong. It does make me think that, you know what, maybe the mid game is where you need to start peaking, you know, start getting that Sedge, Poppy involved, get Yuhi some kills, and then maybe you can start to snowball the game out.
Yeah, and the other thing is also, Jeriel, the other thing we need Burning Core to start looking for fights in the mid game is because I'm going to lose my sanity otherwise. I don't know what happened on Sunday as well. I don't know if you caught those games, Jeriel, but I remember last week, Wednesday, Friday, round robin 3 starts. And all the teams are going nuts. We get upsets, we get fights, we get kills, we get early game pressure. Great. Sunday rolls around and teams played incredibly passive. I know my Nightmare sounded really frustrated how slow a lot of the games are going. And poor man had to cast, all 4 of these games. Yeah, I was not expecting this to be so slow. This feels more like a Sunday than a Wednesday or Friday here right now. Burning Core is not a team that I would have thought would play this game slow. And like I said, I don't know if Burning Core know how to play out a mid to late game. They don't often get there, and if they do, they're usually behind and struggling and don't win out those games. So for Burning Core right now, it's kind of like, okay, like you're known or you're better at the early game. You're not pushing the early game here. Are you trying to practice for playoffs at late game? Because if you are, this isn't the game to practice on. V3, if you lose here, you might not make playoffs.
Yeah, Burning Core need to be V3. It's a must win for them. If they don't, then things get a little bit more tricky. But it's surprising because, yeah, as you said, Day 16 was such a banger, right? Like, everyone was fighting it off. Okay, yes, we did have that massive pause. There was obviously a little bit of a dampener, but all of the games actually were pretty insane. And, yeah, Sunday was a little bit slower. I caught a few games here and there. But it's Wednesday, man. Wednesday's a good day of the week. I feel like obviously Friday is the most exciting, maybe Saturday. But like Wednesday, I feel like Wednesday's good vibes.
Yeah, they're well rested. They're ready to go here. And okay, Flawless just zips right on out of there. V3 able to stop this Baron ward clear here. Did they actually drop a ward in the Baron pit? I'm not seeing a blue ward there. Okay, there we go. Hetzel is up on it. And once again, holding pattern J-Real. Neither team really pushing it. Burning Core, though, did manage to close the gap, the gold gap. We were looking at about 2,500 gold at a moment there. They're back within 1,000. So Burning Core aren't falling behind, and I've just got to hope that they're doing this with intent in mind. They've just picked up the Runan's Hurricane for Yuhi as well in his last base. So this is probably like their parity moment. This is about as strong as they're going to be and as close as they are going to be to V3 here.
Yeah, and it's only 1,000, but it is 1,000 on to Tresco. It's on to potentially the best player it could be as Flawless. Now, going aggressive to defend this tower, they are going to force them away, which I'm surprised about. I feel like V3 could have easily taken that mid tower, but you know what? They want to play it safe, not sorry, so they are going to back away. And you know what, RMC? We're getting close to having the same amount of dragon kills as we do actual kills.
True, just one more and 1 minute left to go here, Jero. Big question is, will Burning Core actually contest this? So far, they kind of let that first and third dragon go, or pardon me, second and third dragon go to V3 without contesting. But this time, look at the vision they're setting up here. I'm liking this, Jero. It suggests that we might actually get to see the action happen. And it's been Burning Core disengaging a lot of times. V3 are more than happy to scrap for the most part. So if Burning Core are the ones who are setting up, we're going to see action.
Oh, we are going to see it right now. We get the knockup there onto Flawless, and Flawless already going to go down. Now the fight's going to continue, though. Hetel going to go pretty low. There is the Moonlight Vigil, and Yuhi going to have to try and run away. A lot of damage has gone down to V3 members, but they are still relatively healthy. Their carries are up and alive. Ray Farkey could lead the charge back in. Dice is still there. No Shockwave available. and they're just able to walk out of that one. The Dragon is spawning in 3 seconds. They're looking for the mid tower first, though, and they should be able to get this one pretty easily. Yuki going to try and get into range to get some damage down, but it's not going to be in time. They take mid tower, and they should potentially look for the Drake, although saying that, Unica has just based.
Yeah, so V3 didn't have, there's no reason for V3 to rush this dragon take here. Unica was kind of low from the initial engage, and as far as they're concerned, Flawless is dead. No smite for Burning Core. That might come back and bite them, though, because, yeah, you didn't have to worry about losing the dragon as long as you're there to contest it. But if you're just all going to walk away like that, Burning Core don't need a jungler. They don't need smite to secure it when your own smite isn't off the table. So it's a 1-for-1 trade, Jeriel. Again, I think V3 playing very, very cautiously. Is it necessary? Probably not. But does it cost them anything? No, it doesn't. And this was Burning Core finally pulling that trigger. They get Flawless in there. And I said, Dice, you got to get that, 4-man Shockwave. Nope. Only catches 2. Hetel and Unica. And that was kind of it. Doesn't really pan out here. You can see the strength, though, of the Zeri still, and the fact that their mid-game spike is here by the way that V3 just kind of went, okay, we respect you. And furthermore, we have no way to threaten Yuki anymore because Unica got forced out. We're just going to back off here and go for your mid lane turret instead, knowing that we've got the inside track.
Yeah, and I will say, if you are a Burning Core fan, you don't have to worry just yet. Like, Yuhi is playing one of the most annoying ADCs that can definitely 1v9. So I feel like they still have a stake in the game, but it's just a little bit slower than I think I would have expected. I feel like, have you seen Finding Nemo?
Yes.
I feel like the girl at the end, and this game is like the fish. And I'm just like trying to shake it, like, do something. Come on, fishy.
Yes. Kind of. No, I fully agree. And it's, again, not the match I'd have expected, where we'd be kind of like trying to, as you said, shake the game a little bit and say, like, hey, wake up, do something here. This definitely wasn't it. And I think I don't know what this means, Jreal, for playoffs as well, because we do have to think about potential playoff implications. And I'm still assuming at this point that Burning Core have a decent shot at making it in. So if you're going to play like this, then I don't know what that really says. If you think about Burning Core last playoffs, they actually had a really fun time of it, right? Like Ray Farkey managed to pull off some upset wins as well, but it's not through playing passive and sitting back like this. I remember Ray Farkey was blind picking Gragas as a tank. It wasn't the AP Gragas that we were seeing. It was tank Gragas. And even then, he was actively looking for plays, looking for engages here. But that hasn't been the case. Even in the only fight that we've seen so far, it was Flawless looking for the engage. Ray Farkey was follow-up and honestly even a little bit late, not necessarily finding the critical targets here. That's not the performance you need from the heart and soul of this Burning Core team.
Yeah, and at the start of the season, I said I broke the teams down into, okay, we have 2 at the top, DFM, Sengoku, then we have a bit of a middle pack, these 4 teams, Burning Core, CGA, Russell Jesters, and the Hawks, and I feel like, and then I said at the end, obviously, Axis and V3 at the lower end, but it feels like it's really changed this season. I feel like now it's even more split up. I think there's 2 at the top still, same the way, and then I feel like the Hawks are kind of in their own realm, and then it does kind of feel like Rascal Jesters and CJ are a little bit better than the other 2 that are coming through. I feel like Burning Core has moved down that standings and they've moved down that ranking, and they've kind of like gone to the bottom, and it's because of things like this. I feel like in the previous split, in the spring split, they were really dominant in some of their wins. Like, they were really able to get their teeth into these games and just run away with them. But now it feels like they're kind of loosely grabbing, trying to like hold on to anything, but they don't really have the grip.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we've actually seen the descent of Burning Core within this year itself. First round robin, Burning Core was like 4th place team. They were sort of the gatekeepers to the very top, and we were kind of like putting them in the same breath as Sengoku as potential 3rd. Second round robin comes by, and we're like, okay, no, like not Sengoku, SoftBank Hawks as a 3rd, yeah. And in the second round robin, we're like, okay, no, SoftBank Hawks have moved themselves clearly to 3rd. There is a clear divide between 3rd and 4th place. But hey, Burning Core, CGA, Rascal Jesters, 4th to 6th, they're still in there. And then now we're like, okay, Axis, Burning Core, who's making playoffs, right? Like, there's a clear slide for Burning Core here. And I'm not sure what happened. The roster's been largely the same here. The only change has been in that bot side. And frankly, I think Yuhi's been performing better this split. So why is the team struggling more? Is it an increase in skill from CJ and Roscoe Jesters? I mean, I'd argue not, but somehow or other we find ourselves in this weird world here, Jreal, where Burning Core have gone from 4th place gatekeepers to not making potentially playoffs, with Axis nipping at their heels and V3 potentially being the one to knock them out.
Yeah, it's it's a wild world. You know, a lot of things have changed. Obviously, V3 picked up a win as well, but it's a bit of an interesting one. As right now, we might get a fight. They're posturing around mid lane. We've got a J Ram going on.
Man, Joe, I've given up hope. I'm looking for these engagements. I'm like, yeah, maybe. They're still just facing off here. 15 seconds on Drake, and Flawless is trying to step up. I'm just keeping eyes on Washidai's Rage Bar because I think that's going to be the big indicator. And since it's coming up now, Burning Core don't want to fight this. So V3 could just fall back and take Dragon and not have a fight.
Yeah, in the UFC, if two fighters are just not fighting each other, they actually like the ref steps in and tells them that they need to fight, or they can call off the fight. And I feel like League needs to implement that.
Agree.
Like,
I would
must
love
fight
it.
at least once
Okay.
before 15 minutes. But here we go. They are going to go into this fight. Ray Fucky now going to be the target. Almost goes down. The tick of Ignite will take him. And now they're looking for more. Flawless going to get dragged back. Gets knocked up by Unicorn. But the Yuhi is the one they have to watch out for. Half HP now from the Victor. And in goes Dress Code. He gets the kill with the last auto. Flawless now in big trouble. Going to have to stasis. Will flash away and gets out. But they've taken down the raid boss. They've killed off the Zeri already.
Okay, so it's a 3v5, slightly lower health bars on V3, and because they didn't stack the dragons here, the oceans, they're not going to be able to heal up. Dice, no shockwave here. Do they have steel threat? Washidai.
Surely this is not the steal. If you're V3, you've got so much time.
Oh!
Flawless gonna block the knot and then goes over the wall themselves. No, they're in so much trouble. They don't have flash. There's no way out. They're gonna go down. It's a 1-for-1, but the Baron is secured by V3.
Okay, Jay, I want to replay on when Flawless flashed in because I think Baron might have been down.
No, he's last minute because he flashed away in this team fight.
Oh, okay. So it's probably just the delay on that blast cone coming in. We do get the start of this fight here, and Yu-Gi-Oh plays this so well. We've harped on the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh has been such a force for this team, but seriously, that Chaos Storm just split the fight here, and you could see that Flawless wasn't able to get in, Ray Farkey wasn't able to get in, so that exposed Yuhi without a tank, and that crit right there changed everything. If the crit doesn't land, if Yuhi managed to disengage, I think Burning Core could have looked for the re-engage on Baron. I don't think V3 could have gone for Baron if Yuhi had still been standing. But because he goes down, that's Baron gone. V3 come back, pick up Dragon here. And now the big question is, how much can you get off this Baron push here, J-Real? V3 want to be able to crack at least 2 turrets with this. They're in a good position. They're up 5,000 gold, and they just spent all of it.
Yeah, and I don't remember who was casting, but there was a game where V3 took a Baron, and I think they only got 1 tower, and someone was trying to do the maths of if V3 only get 1 tower per Baron, like how long will the game last?
Oh, that was also me.
Yeah, hopefully we're not in that situation, RMC. But I will say that yes, I do agree. They need to try and take a few towers here. I think they have the comp for it though. Obviously, dress code with the Calibrum able to get such long range, they should be able to auto this one for free. And obviously, they are forcing Burning Core to step back away because now the scaling has come through. We've got 3 items on the Victor, almost 4. The Aphelios has got 3, almost 4 as well. It's looking like they're in the late game.
Yeah, and I find it funny you bring that up because I think that was day 16 in the Axis game, and I was saying that it's going to take forever. Axis can scale up here, and then right after that, V3 found a critical fight and won. So for the sake of Burning Core fans, I'm not gonna joke about that and try and calculate how many Barons it's going to take. I don't think V3 are only going to take 1 Baron. They still got a minute left, and this mid inner here is punishable. Same with that top side. Washidai already pushing that top lane here, and they probably will be able to set up that sort of mid-top rotation, that back and forth. My only concern right now is V3 are starting to lose control of that jungle, which is not what should be the case when you're up gold with Baron buff here. You should be getting all the vision down and trying to catch Burning Core in rotation.
Yeah, and so far one tower secured. V3, you don't want to go for the second?
Really? Get back! Oh my goodness, Jerry. No.
Okay. All right. They don't want to go for the second, and yeah, caster cursing is real. Shout out to Initialize and Nymera from the MVP. But it's a real thing, and I feel like we did it on this cast as well. We said we wanted to take more than 1, and yeah, V3 said no.
Damn it, Jerry. This is why B3 ends up throwing some of their games, because they're not pushing when they ought to, and they're a little bit too conservative sometimes, especially in the mid to late game. That said, they're still in a good position, and Yu-Gi-Oh just went back and picked up his 4th item here, Death Cap, picked up for this victor. And we already saw what Yu-Gi-Oh did in that last fight. So coming into the next one with the Chaos Storm, if Yuhi gets caught out again, Yuhi's dead immediately. And even Ray, Farky, and Flawless right now, these tanks here, yeah, they built magic resistance. They recognize that, hey, it's not Dress Code who's really ripping us to pieces. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! But despite all this MR, they're still not really going to want to be able to sit in that Chaos Storm and frontline. Washida might get collapsed on.
He's going to go Mega. He's going to try and get away. Thunder Scepter is going to be used, trying to lock him down. They will get the stun. He is able to buy a bit of time, though, jumping away from Flawless Yuhi, but now in trouble. TP is coming in from the Sejuani, and they're able to pick up one. They could potentially look for more now. It is a 4 versus 5, but there's the hook onto Sejuani. Ray Farky trying to play this one. Moonlight Vigil going to come through, and Bobby with the stun against the wall. Flawless now going to go pretty low. Dress Code is trying to fight for his life. He's going low. He is going to proc the GA, and now we're going to see if Yu-Joe can hold out. He's not going to be able to, and Yuhi rips through their health bar. Unica are in big trouble, and Burning Core find a ridiculous fight.
Another TP?
Pick up a win.
Oh, okay, Dice was looking for the TP to cut off Hetel. And I actually, for a second there, Jerry, was thinking Burning Core might not win this, even with the catch on Washi Day. They burnt the command shockwave on him, and he's a tank. He was in mega form, but no way. Is Burning Core they're looking to end this right now. They're pushing in. They can't do this. It's 30 seconds here. At best, you take an inhibitor, and okay, yeah, they peeled off. I was wondering if they're gonna hard commit to this, because if they lose here, there's a good chance V3 counter push. And with the top lane being where it is right now, I don't know if V3 could end this on an ace. But with the way things start, Washide is just kind of getting caught out here, overextends a little bit, gets punished. But I want to highlight how much time he buys and how little damage Burning Core actually did initially. They needed to get Yuhi in there, but it took so long for you to get in, and without Yuhi, Washide was just fine. Unfortunately, V3 was just very late to the reaction. They waited till Washide was all the way in the jungle before they come in here, and then they're like, okay, we'll try and 4v5 now. And they actually almost do it. The amount of damage usually puts up with that Chaos Storm is cutting through Flawless and Ray Farky. We already mentioned that, hey, they built MR. Doesn't even really matter. If not for that beautiful Keeper's Verdict, which did come out from the Poppy there, Burning Core actually lose this fight. You disengage the tanks, and that's what bought you time with those carries. Otherwise, if there was any peel whatsoever, those carries rip you apart. And now that Dragon's back up again, potential soul point for V3, they're once again set up, and I want to see a proper front-to-back fight from V3.
Yeah, we'll see if they can regain composure, regain control. Dragon is going pretty low. The hook onto Flores is there. And it's going to be stolen from the Aphelios. They've now got the soul. Will that change the fight? Washide and Dress Code on the back of this fight, just trying to get as much damage as they can. And he goes forward. Yuhi going to go pretty low, but it's not going to go down. And a lot of low HP bars, but it's not going to be finished. V3, they walk away. They leave Burning Core limping, but they're now going to go to the Baron.
Yep, and there's that healing kicking in right now. Unica actually healing back up. Same with Hetel, from low health back to half health. And Burning Core, that Chaos Storm doing so much work. You saw Yuhi and Dice both got zoned out right into the Dragon Pit at the back of it. And it even delays some of the backs from coming through. So V3 are able to pick up Soul, pick up Baron. And now, once again, the push is on J-Real. Can they find more this time? Keeper's Verdict, I think, has been such a critical tool for the side of Burning Core, and the fact that this time it didn't come through made all the difference.
Yeah, true. It goes on a 30-second cooldown, and it looked decent from the start. They hadn't allowed the Wukong to get super close. Flawless could have potentially taken the Dragon, but obviously it is stolen. But then the rest of the fight, we just see Dress Code doing so much damage in this one.
Yeah, and Dress Code's not really being threatened either in a lot of these fights, J-Real, and that's why the Keeper's Verdict is so important, because if you can't get past the front line, there's no threat onto Yu-Gi-Oh!, there's no threat onto Dress Code. And the other problem too is, we mentioned they itemized a lot towards magic resistance for Burning Core. Obviously, they're pegging Yu-Gi-Oh! As sort of the big threat in these team fights, and it's showing in terms of their priority in fights as well. They're trying to kill Yu-Gi-Oh! More than Dress Code, and I'm not sure that's the right call. Once the initial upfront damage is down from Yu-Gi-Oh!, so what if you kill the victor? It doesn't matter.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Also has a stopwatch, but now is in a bit of trouble here. That's quite a bit of damage coming through. Stopwatch is going to be procced, and now they might be able to rotate, but he's going to go down. So they've already picked off Yu-Gi-Oh! Another rough fight in the topside jungle. 4v3 is going to stall out the game once more. Burning Core secure the winners. Now Hetel maybe in trouble here. Yuhi going to be able to collapse on them. Does get knocked out by the depth charge, but
he's out.
This is done.
Another Baron, another failed push. Oh, they keep going here. Dress Code's got nowhere to run.
V3. They're trying to get away. Dress code is going to go over the wall. But he managed to flash out of there. But now Yuhi going to go aggressive. Will he be able to get the 1v1 here? The guns are not good. Yuhi's going to find the kill. And this is actually massive for the side of Barnacle. Could they potentially end? Death time is at 23.
They've got no minions. They can't. All the minions have been pushed into their base in every single lane. So if they did have minions, Jerio, yes, they can look to end, but they don't. And V3, oh my god, these Barons are actually panning out really badly for V3. They just keep getting caught out of position. And it's the same thing once again. Recall the first Baron here. I said that, okay, they push top, they push mid. You need to set up vision in the jungle to catch in rotation. They don't. And Yu-Gi-Oh gets caught out in rotation here. This was everything that V3 should have been doing, but Burning Core fine. And now Unica being caught out again. TP coming in.
Unica, where are you going? Flawless going to get the knockout there. They're looking for
no shot.
Not having the damage there, wasn't able to get into range. Unica is going to live, and that could be so crucial for the side of V3. And with 22 seconds left with the Baron buff, we have a while before the objectives are spawning again. But this next objective is Elder Drake. And I feel like if Burning Core were going to get themselves back into the game, that is a way to do it.
100%. And Burning Core can do it, Jerio. For all that we talked about the scaling from V3, and we're seeing it in the team fights, if you find a pick before the fight, all the scaling in the world doesn't matter because your scaling is not quite enough to overcome a 4v5 just yet here. And Burning Core have been doing such a great job setting up for a lot of these objectives. Washida, did you seriously just walk past that board? That's a problem. V3 are already struggling in the vision department, not necessarily placing vision, but just having it in the proper positions when you're making those plays. You can't afford to give Burning Core free vision like that here. Now, Burning Core, they're the ones pushing up 2 minutes on the Elder here, and V3 on the back foot. If they lose people, this could be their game.
I feel like the guns are not good right now for FLLC. He needs to kind of shift those one more Calibrum plus Gravitum. I guess is all right for the long range engage, but I feel like they prefer to maybe have something like the Infernum or maybe even a red-white if they could cycle 2 guns. We'll see if he does hold on to this one for the moment. But again, it is Yu-Gi-Oh that's in the bot lane. It is split, and they do need to be very careful because the dive is real. You know, they have 2 massive tanks.
Yeah, and Burning Core denying vision. It's all dark right now. V3 don't have a good way to actually walk towards that dragon pit. They need to remedy that quickly. And I suspect they're just trying to hit certain item breakpoints to come through here. I mean, GA is picked up for Unica, so if he does die, he'll have that up available again. Dress code full build here. And there we go. That was the item breakpoint they're waiting for. Yu-Gi-Oh just picked up Zonius. So now they've got all the defensive items, but it's cost them so much time that it's 1 minute to dragon, and they are so far out from being able to walk in there.
Yeah, they need to push the waves. They need to get the vision. They haven't got a clear path to the Drake without being in a potentially questionable situation. Or they're saying that if they could see what we could see, they would have just seen Burning Core all basing and potentially just giving them a free run straight to this dragon.
Yeah, but they don't, and that's UG has to TP into the mid lane here because they don't have that vision. It was such a free walk, and now they're finally in here. And Burning Core, you know what? They're still fine with this. They have flank angles at the back. Unfortunately, no TP for Ray Farkey means that they'll have to walk there rather than TP for a flank.
Burning Core now potentially looking to go for the engage here. It is going to be a 5v5. We talked about wanting more fights, and we definitely got a few since we brought it up. But Burning Core V3, this could be the last 5v5 that we get to see today.
Yeah, keep in mind, Elder takes a lot longer to take down than regular Drakes here. That's why V3 can afford to sit back a little bit here. But they don't, do they? They do have a ward in the pit, I think, in the bush here. So they know. No, they don't. They don't know it's not been started yet. And that Ray Farkey is just tanking this for no reason. And Unica sat on top of ward, will finally clear it. And Washidai, Mega, that's their window. They've got to make a play right now.
They have to play. They have to play right now. The power is running down. You need to get in there. Otherwise, they're going to have to wait till the next Mega, which I feel like is not going to happen.
Gone. Yeah, it's gone.
Okay. All right, okay. Well, let's wait for the next Mega. I guess this is potentially the play. I think he can get it pretty soon, though. He is level 18, so it should be able to stack up pretty quickly. But Ray Farkey is looking. He's looking. He's looking for this potential flank.
Okay, this is great from Ray Farkey here. They see it.
Oh, they get this done onto Unica, but Unica able to get
Shockwave?
slightly away. There's a Shockwave. Let's go. Now big trouble, but it gets to Yuji from the midline visual. He's still alive. He does have G8 as well as Yuji untouched in this fight, but there goes the tanks on the back, and Yuhi going around the circle. Will he be able to get it? He goes down, but GA proc for himself. Now we're going to see more damage coming down. It's a huge one for V3, but they get away. A massive skip out. It's going to be enough to keep Fujio to alive, but Yuhi has fallen. It will be Elder Drake over to V3. Is this the game ending right now?
For any other team, J-Rio, yes, an emphatic yes. For V3, I don't know, because they did screw up the last two Barons pretty hard. So they could still potentially get caught out. The cooldowns are low enough at this point in the game. It's 45 minutes deep, J-Rio, and you can see that DICE almost has Shockwave back up. V3, they're not even pushing the end. They want to go for Baron first. So Burning Core, they get one more fight into them. Ray Farki will be back up. Yuhi will be back up for this last defense.
But now the time is really, really close because Elder Drake makes everything a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, for sure. And we get to see the Elder here. That was actually a great body block coming in to stop Dress Code from getting caught. Sure, Dress Code still goes down, but look how long it takes with Severum. He's healing up, and even though he does go down, it bought enough time. Yu-Gi-Oh's Chaos Storm once again zoning out the entirety of the team. So it was Ray Farki versus the world for a while. And unfortunately for Yuhi there, Yuhi gets a little bit hyphy, hops over that wall thinking, oh, I can get kills here. But without that front line, we've seen it happen multiple times. You're not tanky enough to survive that. And the moment Yuhi goes down, the fight's over. Burning Core can't do anything. And now Yuhi back up. Ray Farki back up. All outs onto the table here. V3 are going for the final push.
The final push that could end it all. They are going to be able to crack the inhib here. They've got the mid tower. They're looking for the top inhib as well. They've got the Baron super minions. But they need to make sure this Elder Dragon is used wisely. Do not let it run out and get engaged on.
Are they back out? They're seriously backing out? Okay, yeah.
No, if they had base there, that would have been... Man, I would have wanted to just leave.
I mean, Yuji was setting so far away. I was like, bro, you can't actually join the fight if you're that far. Okay, but no, they need to... 40 seconds Elder. There's absolutely no reason for them to back off. Shockwave.
Yeah, Shockwave does catch out Yu-Gi-Oh! There's the hook on to Sejuani. That's a lot of damage onto Ray Farki. It's going to lift over the shield, keeping them alive as Flores looking for something. Will she die, though? So tanky in the front, just going to be able to hold them back. We are going to see the Death Charge forcing back the Zeri, and they could just look for the towers. They've already killed off Flawless. They have so much damage, and if they go, DICE is going to be knocked up. The Nexus is going to fall, and V3 pick up another